Hey there, welcome back. Today we are talking about The Call of the Bone Ships, book number 2 in the Tide Child trilogy. And oh boy, was this book so much different than the first one. You remember I said the first one was just a very straightforward story. Well, this one goes all over the place. It is a roller coaster. And honestly, for the first half, it is just gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. We're going to start out talking about no spoilers, let you know what the story is about and why I think you should read it. So, what is this second book all about? The first one, our group, they didn't quite complete their mission, did they? They were supposed to kill the Kishan, but instead they let it go, and the people who sent them on that mission are not too happy. So, in the year that's passed since then, they've kind of been given like menial tasks, sent on wild goose chases, really anything that gets them away from the city and out of everybody's hair. You didn't do what we wanted you to, and we're not very happy. So why don't you just go out and try to find this ship or go find this person, see what you can do. We don't care what you do, and they know it. They're not too happy about how things are going, but quite early on, they come across a ship and they go on board. It needs help. It's a little beat up. They're going to fix it up, give them supplies, and send them on their way. But they get on board, and there's this funky smell that they smell. And the crew starts acting a little weird. And the shipwife has a note from Misa's mom saying, do not mess with this ship. Give them whatever aid they need, and they're not to obey anybody's orders but mine. And so this is very strange. They want to take a look around. The crew doesn't want them to. And so eventually they have to dispatch with the crew. And what do they find below? Is a deck full of slaves. People who are not in great conditions, sick, emaciated, and even already moved on. You have live people down there with people who have been gone for a week, a month, who knows. So it's not a pretty situation. They also find some galame, or is it galem? If you know how to say that word, please tell me in the comments, because every time I come across it, I'm like, galem, I don't know. But they find them in there too. So it's people and the wind talkers, and they're wondering who who is authorizing this, not only packing up these ships with slaves, but where are they going? What are they meant to do? Where did they come from? So really, this whole book is about finding those answers about this slave trade that's going on, and the reasons behind it do not lead to good answers. Now, so what do we learn in this book that I can tell you without spoiling anything? Well, in this one, you're going to learn more about the wind talkers, kind of their, because we meet more of them. More of them talk. So we kind of learn more about their society, their kind of hierarchy amongst each other, and also some of their lore and the prophecies they have about the world, which is really interesting. We also get more information on the Kishans and, well, namely the poison that people made to hunt them. Because you remember at the end of the first book, they had those harpoons with the poison on the end, and they threw them overboard, and they were told it's an ancient weapon. Well, they're not really sure how to make those anymore. So we find out more about where that poison came from and how it's made. And finally, we get more about Joran and his singing. You remember, again, at the end of the last book, when he started singing that song and the Kishan came up, and you're like, was that just coincidence? Or did that have something to do with his singing? Well, we find out more about that. We don't get any final answers, but you just find out more. Find out more. That's all I'm going to say. If you thought the first book was a little slow and boring, this book is not that. Like I said, the first half is just things going on constantly. And even to the end, they're always moving about. This book has a lot more excursions on land. I think maybe there's only one time, I'm trying to think if there was even a real sea battle in this one. I think most of the fighting took place on land. So that's quite a different change too. But it's very exciting, and it goes. There's a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns. When you think things are going well, immediately they change and they're not going well. And yeah, this book is definitely much more of a roller coaster than the first one. So if you thought the first one was and you weren't sure about checking out the second one, check out the second one. Definitely do it. If you like the first one, obviously you're gonna love this one. It's awesome. That's where I'm gonna end it for no spoilers because there's really not much more I can say without spoiling anything. Because like I said, there's a lot going on in this book. So if you have not read the second book, stop here, like and subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined, and then come back and check out the spoiler section. All right, because spoilers are starting right now. So where to start with this? Let's start with the poison. You know, they started out. They mentioned about needing the people to make the poison towards. I think it was someplace in the beginning. Oh yeah, yeah. When Jordan went off on his own and before he got locked in the box and he found out it's the people that are the poison. But he was wasn't very exact with his words, and you're like, are they just sacrificing, like throwing people into pots and making poisons? Like, what is going on here? And then later they kind of mention how, well, no, it's the work. The work will kill you. Since you're like, okay, are they making the poison? And it's like the fumes are like poisoning them as they make it. But then, of course, at the very end, you see, oh, no, they're actually just killing people and blood into the vats. Isn't that lovely? So yeah, that set at the beginning and carried on through the darker theme of this book, which I really, really liked. And so, besides the poison, one of the things we obviously wanted to learn more about was Joran and his singing. You know, because it was that old lady. She's always calling him the caller. So obviously, when he's doing this singing, we saw it with the tuner on the island, how he sang and called it or summoned it up. Same thing with what was that? McLean's Rock, where I thought it was just going to be an earthquake. Like somehow he was connected with nature and he just summoned an earthquake with his singing. But then to see the Kishan like coming out from the island and the island, being destroyed, you're like, whoa, okay, all right. Which also makes you wonder: are there more Kishans hiding under other islands? Which, of course, is what they're all thinking too. Are they just like hibernating and waiting? Kind of interesting to think about. How does that connect with the Wind Talker? Because they call him Windseer, and they talk about the caller and the Windseer being together doing stuff. All right, so check this out. That part in the book, who is it is talking? He's talking to a couple of the Golem. Golem, help me out. It says, yes, yes, it said, Windseer and Caller, bring back Sea Sither, then Skirith reborn, fire and blood, death to all, the burning door. Okay, I don't know what that is all about, but obviously in the Golem's prophecies, the Caller and the Windseer are connected somehow. So how exactly? Hopefully we find out in the next book. Speaking of Joran, man, he had a rough go of it, did he not? It seemed like the whole book he was recovering from being cut and slashed and tortured, even right up to the end. And then just loses the bottom half of his leg, and you're like, well, that's how this episode of The Tide Child has gone. Man, he just could not catch a break. But it does seem he's got a new moniker. What was it? Was it the last chapter? The second to last chapter was called The Black Pirate. And I already took a peek at the section names of the third book, and the first one's called The Black Pirate. So it seems like he's got his own, moniker and legend growing for himself. And also, of course, man, we lost a lot of good people. First of all, with that mutiny, which he just got off the island out of the box, and you think, okay, things are normal. We're going to go back to what we were doing. Nope, mutiny. And tell me if you weren't the same when Dinal said, it's like, hey, you need to go sleep, take a rest, and you knew, don't trust him. No, don't go to sleep. Bad things are gonna and. Bad things happened, didn't they? And we lost a lot of good people. With the land excursions at the end, Coughlin, though, man, he went out like a champ, huh? Spear through the gut, starting the fire, and then a spear through the chest. Woo! Good on you, good on you. And Dinal, though, he gets his ship and then just blown out of the water, which, man, it happened so fast, and you wonder, did he surely maybe jumped out and he'll show up later, right? He'll have some survival story to share later. I don't know. You take bets on that whether he's still alive or not. But yeah, that was crazy stuff. I did like the darker tone to this whole book, especially, and it continued right to the end when they rescued the people, or they got control of the island, and they're setting up the gallows. And Mies said something to the effect of, like, I'm gonna make a garden out of their hanging bodies. You're like, whoa, all right, all right. So it'd be interesting if that kind of theme keeps going with the third book, or how things are in that one. Speaking of the third book, let's kind of think out loud, make some predictions. I'm terrible at predictions, but of course, there's thoughts we have, questions. So one of them, of course, is, are they going to continue making the poison? Is that just done, and now Misa's mother is just going to focus on something else? Or did they have other how to say, laboratories, I guess, set up? Do they still have records from prior experiments that they can kind of continue on with? So yeah, wondering if that's a thing that's just done, or they'll keep on working with it. Next up, Joran's song. We still don't know why he has this power, or how it came about, right? It just kind of something that came along and all of a sudden he could do it. Was he born with it? Was it something that happened when he touched the Wind Talker and the Spire at the same time? I'm wondering if we'll get some answers with that, and eventually if he'll be able to control it, or if he can sense when something is around that he can use, like the Galaim. They can sense when the Kishan is around, right? What was it, during that one storm or something, and he came running up saying, "See thither, see thither." So they can sense it, and you wonder if he'll be able to fine tune his listening and be able to say, "Oh, something's around here. Let me, if I need help, I know I can sing a song and maybe summon something." So that'd be interesting to see how that, I would say, his power or ability uh, progresses along. See how he does with that. The Caller and Windseer prophecy. Obviously, it's quite the doomsday prophecy. You wonder if it means like a total world annihilation by some mythical power, or if it just means people going to war and destroying each other, and that's all it is. So we'll see what happens there. And I guess another big question is, how long is Mies going to be out for? As I said, I did look at this third book has sections, 3 sections, and the first one was called The Black Pirate, which I think refers to Joran. And it looks like that's the first third of the book. So are we going to get a whole first third of the book where Joran is finally like just completely in charge? Everything that happens with their section, which happens with their section, is that all going to just be solely? Is that all just going to rely on him with absolutely no contact from Mies? Maybe seems so. Could be interesting. And you wonder what's going to happen to her, if she's just going to be sitting the whole time rotting in a cell. Surely we're going to have moments where, with her and her mom talking about, views of the direction the world should go. So that'll be interesting. And then one thing in this book, we didn't get a lot of interactions with the Kishans, did we? We got the island, and then the tempest, the whirlpools, and giant waves after that. But other than that, we didn't get much. So I'm wondering, are we going to see more of them? I don't know. It just kind of seems like they're there and they can be summoned. But other than that, we don't really know a whole lot. Maybe we never will. But anywho, that's it for that one. I've already, of course, got the third book. I haven't started reading this one yet. It looks to be about 100 pages, 60 pages longer than the second one. So maybe another week, a little over a week, and I'll have this one read. Really excited to jump into it. No idea where it's going to go, what's going to happen. So I'm going to get reading this one. You jump in there, read it too. Come back for the review of this one. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next time. Bye.